Well, hello you, this is Shane from Shane's Books and Review, and I hope you are having a great day today. Well, today we're going to be talking about Andrea Vernon and the superhero industrial complex, wrote by Alexander C. Kane. Now, as I mentioned on Monday, didn't much like the audiobook version of it so much, and I did have a chance to pick up a copy. You know who you were, thank you. And it was better. Now, of course, because I listened to it foolishly first instead of reading it, instead of having my own voices for the characters, I had her in my head the whole time, and so I'm sorry bringing up the audio thing again. But seriously. So we'll just push that to the side. We all know by now I didn't much care for that person narrating that book. But the book itself was better off the second time around than it was the first time, because I caught some more of the things that I wouldn't have caught, and whenever I finally got about halfway and I could stop hearing her narrations for some of the voices and started to develop my own, it was interesting. It was far better experience for sure. Like Gleam or the Black Hole or whatever one of the villains. I mean, even the Raven. I mean, that kind of fitted in a way, but in another way it kind of didn't. But I enjoyed it the second time around so much more because I didn't have that blurring in my eardrums the whole time. And the story was really well done. It was, like I mentioned, it was more of Andrea Vernon, her exploits in the world as she tries to protect Miss O, because I mean, really, that's what it is. She's trying to hold the whole thing together, and she's trying to get those darn codes for the air conditioner. Yes, that's a very important thing, and I can relate to that in a big way. The book is goofy, it's silly, it knows what it is. It fits into those parts of that genre of it is a superhero book. It's more about the administration office people that are trying to make sure the world doesn't end by getting the right people to the right places at the right times. And what would happen if the super villains decided that they were going to try to act like superheroes and then get everything disbanded? So that's plot and the peril that they had to deal with, which did indeed, for it being a silly book, was kind of serious material. It made for some interesting storytelling. For it being such a silly, feel-good kind of a read and funny stuff all the way through it, kind of surprised me that the author demonstrated that he's not afraid to kill characters. Now, I don't remember if this was the case in the original book or not, but whenever we're talking about her brother riding in on the horse with a cavalry of aliens called the Jerks, it was refreshing to see that Alexander was able to X one of his characters, and such one of the major ones as well. Now, it's not to say that he won't make a triumphant return in the third or fourth book, because let's face it, that's the way these kinds of books usually do go. It's not that I enjoyed the absence of that person, but the way they went out was true to themselves, and it was appreciated. So here's my nod to that. Well done. And the story leaves off in an odd place with an odd feeling as well, which was something that makes you think there's of course going to be another one, and there probably will be. If there's not, I'll be kind of surprised about it. It was because of the way that things were left open, but it wasn't that there was a lot of loose ends either. The book and the story that was being told was actually wrapped up quite well. So overall, if you want to read a book about superheroes that's really silly and in your face, in its own face at times, get yourself the paper or Kindle version like I mentioned before. Do yourself that favor, please. I'm sure that you'll have a really good time reading the first or the second one. Now, there's a thing that can be said about this story. I've mentioned in the past multiple videos that I like it whenever there's a transformation of character. There was a little bit of that in this one whenever it came to Andrea and her boyfriend, the Big Axe. It had to do with a very meta point in their little journey here in this story, where they realized that they were best friends with the supervillains that were wanting to destroy everything that everybody had worked so hard to achieve, and that they were going to have to probably kill their friends. Then they started to wonder why other people didn't like them so much, which was kind of weird and unique in its own way. There was a depth to the story as well that was kind of surprising to me, because a book that is this silly and knowing what it is, you wouldn't really expect it to have those really eye-opening moments, and it did. Now, if you happen to have read either one of these in the past, I'd love to know about it. Tell me down there in the comment box, and then I will read them and respond. Granted, sometimes I'm not as timely as I would like to be. Like, share, subscribe. Today's book was Andrea Vernon and the Superhero Industrial Complex, wrote by Alexander C. Kane. This is Shane with Shane's Books and Review, and I will see you on Monday. Yes, even you.